Cafe Networking Podcast promotes successful business experts. I'm Tom Rioch, known as the King of Networking, connecting people throughout the world from my podcast studio in Brazil. Joining us today from Dayton, Ohio, Estelle Gibson, CPA, TED speaker, international best-selling author, and holistic financial coach. Her second book, Poor by Choice, became a #1 bestseller. So Estelle, how to create your unique spending plan?
Hi, Tom. How are you today?
Good, just great.
Awesome. So, creating your unique spending plan. So, that's a topic I love to talk about. I have a chapter in my book called No More Money Diets, and it's Create Your Unique Spending Plan. Because if we think about, when people think about managing their money, the first thing they think about is what? A budget.
Right.
And to me, a budget is like a diet. Now, if you look up the word budget, the actual definition is to make an estimate of your spending. Now, I don't know what has happened over time, but people don't think of it as an estimate. They think of it as a restriction. I have to go on a budget. I have to start restricting. I have to go on a diet. So what I have people think about is spending plans, which is much more proactive, looking at what are the things that I want to spend my money on, having choice, freedom, and power. Instead of restricting, having awareness of information about what you are doing with your spending, and then being able to direct your spending based on the goals and the dreams that you have in your life.
Well, I like the point that you bring up about a diet, because generally we buy more than we can eat.
Right? Right.
And then we start eating what we've bought, and then we get to the part of, the financial control. We've overspent ourselves.
Exactly.
And we've overindulged ourselves, and that's multiple.
Exactly. And also, if you put someone on a money diet, very similar to a regular diet, there's restriction, there's cutting back, and that's very popular now. There's a lot of spend challenges where don't spend any money for so many days, and savings challenges. And when that happens, just like a diet, there's a backlash. People will start spending, overspend, like you just said, overspending, overindulging, using credit cards. So it's an unconscious way. I'm very focused on holistic financial practices and being conscious about what you're doing, and budgeting from the restrictive standpoint doesn't really give you what you want.
I mean, I've seen some conflict, I'll say personally, because within a corporate situation scenario, when we're in a company, obviously there's always a budget. You have the annual budget, you have the plans, but at the same time, you always have the cost cutting.
Right.
And it seems that we plan to be on a diet.
Right.
In the corporate world. So should we plan to be on a diet as a person?
No planning on to be on a diet. And from a corporate standpoint, I've always seen it from even the time when I was an auditor. For me, it was always about being proactive to look for improvements. So to look for how you can bring in more income. So it all starts, Tom, with what's the goal? Right. What's the goal I have for my money? What's the big dream I have for my life? And how can I achieve that? So if you start from let's just cut back, you're not even looking at it. You're not even looking forward. You're not even looking at what you really want or projecting forward. And I think it's the same for a corporation. Corporations, they look at income a lot more than we do, right? So they look at what is our goal. They're focused on the sales goal while being responsible about spending. But I think corporations, if they're profitable and successful, they're looking at the sales as the #1 factor.
Right.
And then everything else comes after it. We don't do that. We look at cut the spending, and then we're not looking at how can I bring in more income to cover this.
Most of us as people, as persons, and if you're working for a company, you're in some type of an environment, you sort of have a fixed income. So, what you make is, I can remember the time when I had a weekly salary and a payday, and that was it. And so your expectation of getting more really wasn't related to something you could do. You were there for a time. So it's within that of the budgeting, the planning that's important.
Correct. And you can also, if you do have a fixed income, you still have to be aware of what you're doing, not from a got to cut back, but what am I doing? Are there expenses that just don't make sense? One of the big ones anymore, Tom, there's two things I want to address there is, first of all, from the income standpoint, we're in a different era now where people can jump in a car, start Uber. There are ways now where people had no access to side hustles,
Right.
to income online. So
Right.
that, is a little bit different. And then, so it's easier for people to make more income and be able to generate in a different way than it was before.
But the essence is, in any sense, to sit down and look at it, the structure.
Absolutely. To have an idea. Oh, one of the big things I have people look at are subscriptions. How many times do people sign up for subscriptions, especially those things that don't come in your door, the
Right.
things that you don't see? I know I work with clients and they're like, oh my gosh, when I went back and looked, I had like $200 of subscriptions of stuff I don't even use anymore.
That's true.
Whether it's some kind of streaming service or some kind of, something you set up and then it just keeps being built. And that, let me tell you, that's going to continue more and more and more. Couple years ago, I went to a symposium for CPAs and they said that was going to be the biggest change in the environment, was that you're going to be able to buy a car, have the insurance taking care of everything for the car in a subscription monthly. You're not going to own it. And they said everything is going to go that way. And you're starting to see that.
Now here in Brazil, we see that. I don't want to say it's
Yeah.
commonplace, but it's there. So you buy, it's a subscription. You pay
Right.
a fixed rate, and that's it. You take
Exactly.
the car for a year, 2 years, or 6 months, and that's the way it is. If everybody's doing that, not yet, but that's reality.
Exactly.
So to your book, the Poor by Choice.
Yes.
So that's to the persons, right? That's for me. That's for anybody to take, sit down and read it,
Absolutely.
and a step by step.
Yes, definitely. So the book is in three parts. The first part is a continuation of my TED Talk, which is on financial dependency, a topic that most people are not talking about, defined as being dependent on a job, a relationship, or a situation for money, and many times feeling trapped. So it talks about what is that and what's the solution. The second part of the book is my 5-step coaching method that I've used with clients and students for over 20 years, and it takes you through that process and goes into the details of that. The third part is 6 main money topics and my sort of spin on them, one being your unique spending plan, and then savings and investing and debt. And I have a little bit of a different opinion than a lot of popular people in finance. I like a holistic approach, Tom, which means that, can you think of any area of your life that money doesn't affect?
Oh, no.
Right. Right. So we can't just focus on money. We have to focus on you as a person.
Right.
We have to focus on the people in your life, the things in your life, the beliefs that you have. So I take a holistic approach. And so that's included in some of those money topics. And then one of the chapters is how to build your financial team. Because so many times that's a very daunting task. And I write about it in the book. At least in the United States, there's over 200 financial designations for financial plan. Yeah, just for financial planning type of people, with the 3 and the 4 letters after their name. It's so confusing, and they all do a myriad of different things based on their certification. So I talk about that in the book and how to find the right person for you. And so that you can be informed. One of the key things.
And a person you could trust.
Absolutely.
One thing is being informed, and others being, trustworthy in that process.
Exactly. So that you have the ability to make those decisions for yourself, and so that you don't feel like you're being overwhelmed or overtaken and don't understand. You don't have to be an expert, but you do need to have the information to help.
We need to have someone like you. So how can our listeners find you?
They can find me on EstelleGibson.com. They can find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube. Yeah.
And the book
and also
is Poor by Choice.
Poorbychoice.com will take you directly to information about the book. And I've got book bonuses that go along with the book. You can find the book on Amazon in Kindle, hardback, and paperback.
Very good. Well, thanks for being here, Estelle.
Thank you so much for having me, Tom.
Okay, and our listeners, it's Estelle Gibson. It's Estelle, the last name Gibson. Find her on LinkedIn, the book poorbychoice.com, and her site estellegibson.com. Cafe Networking is brought to us by Focus MI Market Intelligence, an agricultural market research specialist in Brazil. More information at focusmi.com. Talk to Tom, talk to the world. Thanks for listening. Until the next time here at Cafe and Networking Podcast.